I bought this record player for $5. It sucks, but I think I can make it better. These are the parts that actually make it function. This thing spins and this thing vibrates with the music. I want to take these and see if I can make something cooler out of it, rather than that decrepit shell that it came from. The plan is to actually make these parts play music properly and then build some kind of enclosure for all the electronics, and also have the preamp and amplifier built in so it's as seamless as possible. Now, there are quite a few issues with this. Number one, the stylus is bent and ancient and terrible, and the turntable does not spin at the correct speed. So basically, the two parts of this that are actually important both do not function properly. In addition to those minor, critically important flaws, it also requires this to function: a cassette deck with an AM/FM radio. I don't really want this involved. I just don't want this at all. So I need to find a way to power the turntable without using this box, so I can just get rid of that and have this be a whole standalone system. The turntable plugs into the preamp into the amp, and then everything needs power, including the turntable, which is supposed to plug in here, but I don't want to use this thing, and I think I came up with an alternative solution. I got this little voltage converter board that I could add my own power input to, and after setting it to the 9 volts that the turntable expects, I could just cut off the plug of the turntable and connect it to this board. This makes it so I can power the turntable, the preamp, and the amplifier off of one singular 12-volt power supply with a splitter cable. And it works! The turntable now spins, but still at the wrong speed, so the next step is fixing that issue. Turntables usually have belts in them, and they don't last forever. This one is definitely old, so it needed to be replaced. You just have to wrap the belt around the turntable and get it to engage with the motor spindle. If you have a turntable that's running at the wrong speed or an inconsistent speed, this is likely the issue. With everything powered and a new belt installed, I added a mat to the turntable because it didn't have one, and I can finally put a record on it. But not actually play it because it still has that bent stylus that is really bad. I recorded the footage of replacing this stylus onto a really bad SD card, and now it looks like this, but essentially I just took off the old one and eventually ended up with this one installed, which is an improvement. And yes, I know, cheap AliExpress red cartridge, but remember where we're starting from. The competition here is a Chrysler, not a proper turntable. Audio fidelity is not the most important thing for this project, I just want it to look cool. Anyways, with all that done, one singular power cable will now make this whole setup play music. Yeah, I can't play very much of that, but it does work and it no longer needs the big box or ugly shell. And I guess that leads me to the next step, where I need to make a new kind of shell, but just for the bottom electronics here, and to make this actually sit flat. A few hours of 3D printing later, and I think that'll work just fine. So was this worth it? No, not at all. I suppose that for a total investment around like $40 for this whole setup with a preamp and amplifier, you do get a functional turntable that can play music. But it doesn't sound that amazing. I'll give you the audio comparisons in a minute, but this started as a $5 turntable. And it's still a $5 turntable. It's not a miracle, it's competing with those little briefcase turntables with the built-in speakers, not with something more high-end like this. I will say though, I was surprised that the turntable itself was not the clear biggest degradation in audio quality. The AliExpress preamp and amplifier probably did just as much to the sound. There are very clear differences using this turntable with the cheap amplification stuff and using the same turntable with a proper preamp and amplifier. And then you plug in this turntable with this setup, and it's like the clarity has entered the room. Anyways, enough talking about it. Let's hear the audio.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose, Yuletide carols being sung by a choir, and folks dressed up like Eskimos. Everybody knows a turkey and some the mistletoe help to make the season bright. Tiny tots with their eyes all aglow will find it hard to sleep tonight.
I guess the conclusion here is that if you're trying to achieve peak sound quality and audio fidelity, this is not the route to go. But if you're into this stuff for like collecting the music and you just want to be able to play them sometimes and have them look cool spinning around, this could be a fun project. It's not too expensive, and you get to repurpose something that probably would never have been used again otherwise. Depending on where you land on that topic, you're either going to think this is a ridiculous waste of time and money, or a great project to do to display some of your records and play them sometimes. The important thing to remember is that these things are way too expensive, and every part of this hobby is a ridiculous waste of time and money, so any way to do it is equally as valid. Thanks for watching. Come back next week. I'll see you then.